I don't know what's going on with this stream. Something's either going on with my internet connection or what. I don't know. But anyway, let's see here. So you just got to be careful with the applets. No, I don't. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the stream right now, dude. Like, it says it's working, but it's just. I don't know. It must be my connection. Lathex. What's going on, man? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. Okay, now it says there's 7 watching. Okay, so look, I don't want to get into too much more on the theming side because of it being too crazy trying to live stream and mess with the actual video graphic settings because it's just crashing everything. And this is like the 4th time it restarted. So yeah, it probably every time I crashed, Pedro, it probably started a new link and a new stream. So I don't know what's going on with it, but anyway, I'm just going to take a quick look at these, and actually, these will show you all of the available applets. But when you click more info, it takes you to the Cinnamon Spices page. See you, William. It takes you to a link to the Cinnamon Spices page, and this has been redesigned, and it has all the applets on here as well. And you can see these, and you can download them and just install them manually, or you can install them through the actual settings manager. So I don't know if there's any in here that are not in the settings manager. It should be basically a mirror of. So I'm going to install this one. And because I usually like a places. Yeah, it looks like a good places. Although the menu that I'm using, with this menu, you really don't need the places because it has it already in there. Anything I'm going to do is, no, not that. I'm going to make the icons smaller because they're a little bit big. Okay, so, yeah. But as you can see, you don't really need that, I guess. I don't really need that. Now, if I'm going to use that menu, I don't need it. Why am I in a bird? Funny guy, funny guy. All right, so again, the Cinnamon Spices itself is maintained by Linux Mint, and they've actually done a really good job at organizing them and restructuring everything so that it can be like a testing bed. Instead of applets being on there that you have no idea if they're going to work or if they're just going to break something, they actually are supposed to be, from what I understand, testing some of them before they get into the wild so they don't just break everything. Now, I don't get into desklets, and I guess they're like widgets. There was never a one that I could say, wow, I need to have that. So that's not something that I get into. And the extensions, you have to be really careful with the extensions because these really can mess up cinnamon. I actually shrunk the camera down to put that in there. So, but he does have the transparent panels already in place, this extension. So that's why, I guess, why he's able to have a transparent panel on here. So I guess either way, if you're a cinnamon fan, you're probably going to like this, I would think, because I am a cinnamon fan, and I'm going to run this for a little bit and see how well it works. I'm not too keen on the... I use Ballistic. It depends on what I'm installing. If I'm installing, like when I start out, and like when I started out fresh on this install, if I install GIMP, like if I need GIMP right away, I'll just do a terminal and sudo apt get, sudo apt install GIMP, because it's quicker instead of opening up this in. But if I'm looking for something specific, like if I'm looking for Telegram or Steam or something like that, I will end up using Synaptic for that. But something small, I'll end up using the terminal. So either way works. But I'm going to run this for a little bit and see if it's gotten any better. Now, the one thing that you have to understand is this is not based on the latest Cinnamon. So if you come down to system info, this is Cinnamon version 3.27. So Cinnamon 3.4 is actually out. So so it's not the latest version, and you will have to add some PPAs and stuff like that if you want the latest version of software. Like, I know I installed Kdenlive and it was like 15 or something like that. It was a little bit old. Yeah, FerenOS is just based on Cinnamon. The guy takes Linux Mint Cinnamon and adds different things to it, like the docs and the themes and the borders and everything. And it's not just themes. I mean, Lays, you didn't see the first part of it, I don't think, but it's not just window borders and colors. It's actual theming part of it, where the menus change to emulate whatever you're looking at. And without going over the same thing a couple times, I know some of you have already seen it, but for those of you who haven't, this is the theme right here. And I'm not going to switch themes, but because it's all good. But I'm not going to switch themes too much because it sometimes crashes Cinnamon when I'm live streaming here. But you have all of these themes to choose from: Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7, and they're not just themes. It's not just the window borders and the colors. It changes the desktop. It moves the panel to the bottom. Like if you chose Windows 10, it moves the panel to the bottom. It changes it to a Windows 10-esque menu with the Windows 10 colors. It has the setup on here with the system tray collapsible, and that's why you see this now, because I actually put it on Windows 10 and then changed it manually. So you see this applet now to hide some of them system tray icons. That's not there if you switch to, say, Apple, and you go to Mac and you switch this. And this Docky is not here when you switch to a Windows 10 theme. All it is the panel at the bottom. I've turned the Docky on. So, and then, like I said, when you switch to Mac, it pops the panel up at the top. It gives you the Mac icons, and it actually starts up Docky for you. And then you have different Linux themes. And you have Chrome OS too as well. And what this does is it puts a panel, a short panel over to the right. And then it puts a Chrome OS type short panel on the left. So it's not just a theme. This guy's put a ton of work into this. So I know some of you guys have heard that already, but for those of you who haven't, it's worth a look. So you not only, if you're a fan of Linux Mint Cinnamon, you're probably going to be a fan of this, because this allows you to change things. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, one of the hardest things to do in Cinnamon for me was to get a transparent panel. And You had to find a theme that was right, and then you would find a theme, and you would find... No, it's all good. You would have to find a transparent theme, and like I think there's one transparent theme in Cinnamon, and then what would happen is the colors wouldn't be right, so the font would be dark, and the font on here would be dark, but it would be dark on the panels too, and it wouldn't be white. And that's why I said that's one of the hardest things to do in Cinnamon is to find a transparent panel. And if you like Cinnamon, you're probably going to like this, because this allows you to change. This enhances so much the theming and the ability to change things around. It's really good. If you're not a fan of Cinnamon, you're probably not going to like this, just the way it is. I mean, obviously you have to like Cinnamon. Now, as you can see, I'm running 3.7 gigabytes of memory. So this is a lot of memory that it's running. Now, partially, I always run high on memory. If you've watched any of the live streams, you know that I always run high on memory, even on KDE and GNOME. I'm always running around 2, somewhere in that area. But this is 3.7, so it's not for an older machine or light and heavy. And it's a little bit heavier than everything else. But you can turn off the animations too as well. So, I mean, you can come in here and just toggle off all these effects, and I'm sure that it would be a little bit snappier. I will say that when you open Thunderbird and certain programs, it can take a second or two for it to come up. So it's not a absolute speed demon as far as... But that's something that with Cinnamon. You know that's going to happen. Searching for... Searching for the perfect desktop, dude, is, to be honest with you, it's just not there. There is no perfect desktop. There's always going to be something that you don't like about it. Fidel, the stream crashed a couple times, so I'm sure the link changed a couple times, so I apologize for that, but that was due to me changing things around in Cinnamon while I was trying to live stream, which was, well, not the best idea. Not the best idea I've ever had. But there is no perfect desktop. One could have 99%. I'll be honest with you. I was on Ubuntu Budgie before this, and I just installed this tonight. Ubuntu Budgie has some really good defaults, and it is a good-looking system. It runs really well, and for all intents and purposes, I was ready to stay on Ubuntu Budgie. The one thing that Ubuntu Budgie doesn't have is a good menu, and that to me is something that is a deal breaker. If it's not a good menu, that's what you interact with all the time. So it's like you have to be able to get along with your menu. And to be honest with you, that's probably at the bottom of the list as far as my favorite menus. Fidel, I actually installed this on my main system for the moment. It depends on how well it works in the next couple of days, whether it stays or not. But FerenOS is my daily driver for at least today. After this live stream, I don't know. Well, you know what? I looked into K-Revenge, and I honestly had issues with it installing it because I think I can get other things installed that way, but I was doing some, partitioning that might have caused some issues with it, so I never did get K-Revenge installed, although it looked really nice on the live boot, the live USB. Yes, David, you're right. David, you're a fan of Cinnamon, aren't you? I think you're one of the only fans of Cinnamon in this live stream. if you like, you don't like Ubuntu-based distros though, so you won't really enjoy this. But if you like Cinnamon, you'll like FerenOS, just because of the customizing of it. But I don't know. Like I said, there's no perfect OS. You know, Pedro, you said about GNOME, and you're right. I mean, well, the one problem I had with GNOME was it was freezing up for hesitating for a couple seconds, like maybe 10 seconds, every time I would go to log out or shut down, or and there was other times that it was doing it, and it was just driving me insane. Otherwise, I would still be on GNOME. Now, if I was on Intergos GNOME, I probably still would be on GNOME because I don't believe I had that issue with Intergos. I don't know if it has to do with the Ubuntu base or what, but just been having issues with the, like, Ubuntu GNOME did that, and then KDE Neon last week, where I didn't have them problems with KDE Neon before, and I don't know if it had to do with the Ubuntu base, and I don't see anybody else in Intergos having those problems, but yeah. I tell you what, David, I installed Cinnamon when I was running Ubuntu GNOME. I installed Cinnamon on top of it, and man, it looked that's all I could think of was, man, it looked really good. Now, the other thing is too, where I was crashing earlier with this Cinnamon. This is not the latest Cinnamon version. Like I said, this is 3.27, and 3.4 came out where they added the processes where they're separated. So one thing won't crash the whole desktop, which is a problem in this one. And maybe when FerenOS, now I don't know if he's probably going to wait till Linux Mint picks up 3.4, which probably won't be till 18.2 or maybe later. I don't know. Glenn, I did find that Intergos ran GNOME better. The only problem that I had with running Intergos GNOME was when there were issues. There were issues. It wasn't like it was issue free, but when there was issues, I'm not an Arch expert, so it was harder for me to fix the issues, or it took more time to research and fix them. So I switched to Ubuntu GNOME, and I actually did install Solus GNOME as well. And like I told you, Glenn, Solus is one really good operating system. I mean, it is just fabulous as far as the way it works, how quick it is, all of it is really good. And then it comes the software, where I can't just install any software I want. And that's where the biggest downfall is. And I know that it's meant to be that way, and maybe it'll get better, once snaps are more uniform and more across the board. But so, I mean, running Solus, if you're just running it and you only need a certain set of applications, it's the perfect desktop. It really is the perfect desktop. And you have to choose from. You got Mate, you got GNOME, and you got Budgie, and all of them are really good desktops. So Solus, for somebody who doesn't need a lot of programs or doesn't want to try out a lot of programs, is great. But like, for example, with the Destination Linux podcast, we run a program called Zoom. And I was having issues with the latest update. And I mentioned this in the podcast, where within a day, they had given me a dev file for a newer version of it to run so that I could actually record both screens. And that was awesome. But it was in a dev file. And that's not going to work on a Solus machine. And I'm not up on Solus enough to start packaging my own programs. And it seems to me that that's a little bit too much to run a desktop, because I want the desktop to be installed. I mean, that goes against the idea of even Solus, because it's supposed to get out of your way. It's supposed to allow you to do work. And if I got to package my own packages and my own programs, then it's not getting out of my way. So, David, you're right, though. All of the desktop environments have some great things about them. But that's why I said you're never going to find the perfect one. There's always going to be pros, and there's always going to be cons to them. The question is, are they deal breakers? Now in the Solus Mate, the brisk menu can be opened with the Windows key. Yes, the newest version 0.40. You have the ability to open it with the super key. Yes, you do. What Linux distro is close to perfect for you? Well, I'm going to tell you that Antergos KDE and Antergos GNOME are two near perfect distributions. With the exception of the software being able to install anything I want at any given time, Solus, any one of them, are pretty much perfect distributions. Those are my picks. Budgie itself, Ubuntu Budgie, is really, really good, except for the menu. I love the defaults in Ubuntu Budgie. I thought they asked me personally what I wanted in a desktop environment, and that's what they gave. That's what they put in it, because it, like, all the defaults are what I would pick, and I thought it was awesome. But I can't deal with that menu. I mean, if they would put something like the brisk menu in Budgie, it would be awesome. I'm sorry. Well, look, for me, Rich, the menu is the key to your desktop environment. It's what I interact with the most. Yes, you can use Synapse, and for example, in KDE, you can use KRunner to pretty much be your menu. But it depends on what mood I'm in and what I'm doing as far as what workflow I need. Like, a lot of times I'll be a keyboard-centric user, and that's why I like GNOME, because it's more keyboard-centric. But there's other times where I'm just sitting here and I just want to use the mouse and click and do whatever, and your menu comes into a lot of play there. And that's one thing that I'm waiting for with the brisk menu is it doesn't have favorites yet. That will be introduced in the next version, 0.50. But those things are important to people, and especially newer users. The menu is important. It's how you get to your programs. You can have planks and docks and panels and shortcuts and everything, but the menu is the gateway to how you get to places and where you go and what you open. And if you don't like the menu, it's going to be a bad experience on the desktop all around. Or maybe not so much what skill level, or maybe what time you have, because you can have the skill level, but if you don't have the time to do it, or don't want to make the time to do it, then you really, like for me, I don't want to have to come home and that's one of the reasons why I'm not on Arch right now. Even though Antergos runs really well, that's one of the reasons why I'm not on Arch right now. It's because I don't want to spend the time to fix this stuff when I come home from work. I don't have the time to make sure my operating system's working before I sit down and do something. I just want to be able to sit down and do something. And that's basically why I'm not running Arch at the moment, even though Antergos is really good. I just want to know one thing. Why do the live streams start out with a certain subject like FerenOS, and just we start talking about everything? That's fine. That's just, the titles are misleading because we end up talking about everything other than what we're actually talking about. So it's good to get together with everybody, though. It's awesome to hear everybody's opinions on everything. I need to just start titling the live streams as Linux chat, because that's basically what it ends up being, is Linux chat. Because well, look, like I said, so okay, everybody in the chat, favorite desktop environment. You can only have one. What would it be? You could only have one desktop environment. You had to choose. Every other desktop environment was going to go away. Which one would you choose for one to keep? Zebedee, yeah, I know. All right, so we got one vote for KDE, one for XFCE. Come on, David, what would you choose? Which one are you running, Chris? Are you running Ubuntu GNOME or are you running like Antergos? GNOME. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what. I was so disappointed because I wanted to stay on GNOME, to be honest with you. I was so disappointed with Ubuntu GNOME and the hesitation that I had to. It was just, it was upsetting because I wanted to stay on GNOME, but I just couldn't. It was absolutely driving me nuts. You would pick XFCE if you only had one choice, David? One vote for Ubuntu Mate. Nice. Ubuntu Mate is actually pretty darn good. I installed it on another drive tonight to check out the new brisk menu version, and yeah, you know, looking at it, it looks really good. Well, look, mine has no problems with running GNOME, but it does take up some resources. It's not no light distribution. Soulless Budgie, yeah, that's a good choice. Although Soulless Budgie ends up being in the same category as Ubuntu Budgie, where the menu is just not for me. If you're a person that doesn't mind using other things for a menu, Ubuntu Budgie's close to perfect. If you're the kind that doesn't, there was a couple issues that I was having with Ubuntu Budgie. One, the menu was not for me. Two, when I would maximize Windows, the Plank dock that they had installed didn't want to. It didn't want to. It would not hide, but it would allow the window to go under it. So everything on my left side I couldn't see because it was under the Plank dock. It just wouldn't, like when I put the docky on the left here and I maximize the window, it only goes, when I full screen it only goes to the dock itself. But that would go full screen, and that may be a Plank thing, I don't know. But that was another problem I was having. And the other problem I was having was my VPN would not connect. Don't know why. Private Internet Access would not connect with the GUI application. And even now, it wouldn't connect at all with the GUI application. But then when I tried with OpenVPN by manually doing it, it would connect for about 2 minutes and then it would shut off. It would just shut the connection down. And I don't know what was going on with that. But I just installed FerenOS and it doesn't happen here. And it didn't happen on Ubuntu Mate. And so it was something to do with maybe the network manager on Ubuntu Budgie. But those were the couple problems that I was having with it. Yeah, pretty much. No, it wouldn't allow me to. There was no setting in Plank to say to hold that area where you couldn't. There was no setting for that in it that I saw anywhere for that problem. So that was the one. That was one of the issues that I was having. So, like for example, I'm going to move this over here. And now I am going to open this and maximize this. And as you see, it's not taking up this real estate. But in Ubuntu Budgie, it would go all the way across. And all of this was behind the panel, or behind the Plank dock. I just couldn't do it. It crashed, Carl. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it crashed. Oh, here is the other problem I'm having with this Cinnamon, with this FerenOS, and it can't, with this theme, with this, using the themer and using the Windows theme, Yeah, see, look, this changed back. Why is that? Why did that change back all of a sudden? Because I had it on a transparent panel and everything. See, I don't want to go start changing themes around again because it'll mess everything up. But either way, with this Windows theme here, it will not let me. I'm just going to minimize that for a moment. It won't let me use my second monitor. No idea why. But when I go to pull the window over to the other monitor, it wants to minimize it down to like a inch size all the way across. I'm going to have to switch this to Feren and then... Yeah, I must have to restart Cinnamon, and I don't know if I want to do that. It's not working the way it's supposed to. So I really can't see if there's anybody live or watching or whatever. So yeah, but rather than crash the whole stream again and get everything all messed up, I'm gonna see as yeah, this is not gonna work, dudes. This is so not gonna work because yeah, you're here, Carl. You're here, but I can't have the windows on my other monitor because it's messing up. Look how the thing's going transparent, not transparent. It's weird. Open something up, it's going transparent. Then when I go up, it's not. That's weird. So I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what we were talking about, but wow, look at this. Just change. This is what happens when you do live streams with operating system you don't usually run. Who knows? I may be switching tonight off of this because this is what happened last week. I installed KDE Neon, and right after the live stream and all of the things that happened with it, I just uninstalled it right away and put something else on. But I guess everybody's here, so I can't see who's here, and I can't see how many people were here. So we'll just continue our talk because I thought it was pretty interesting talk. No, ladies, it's actually a problem with the Cinnamon and this layout because I switched layouts to like the Apple to the Mac one, and then I was able to drag the thing right across the screen like it was no problem like I normally can. But for some reason with this Windows layout, I'm not able to drag everything over to the left, so it's just has something to do with it. It's just a quirk. Carl. Don't tell Lays that. He's on Windows right now, Carl. Don't yell at him, okay? He's on Windows right now. I'm not calling you out or anything, Lays. I'm just talking. All right, so I don't know. What do we... So everybody picked... So what did we have as far as people wanting KDE or XFCE? What came out on top? So we got KDE, XFCE, GNOME, Ubuntu Mate, GNOME. I don't know. I to be honest with you, I don't know what I would pick. I don't know what I would pick, to be honest with you, if there was only one desktop environment, because like I said, there is no perfect one. I was running GNOME and I liked GNOME, but even though I loved the full screen launcher, one of the things that was starting to irk me the more I ran it was the fact that when you open the full screen menu, it wouldn't go away right away. Like when you open a menu, you can click over somewhere on the desktop and it goes away, or you can hit the button again and it goes away. And it's with GNOME, I forget how it works. Like if you hit the Windows key, but if you hit the Windows key again, the super key, sorry, it doesn't go away. The overview comes up or something like that. So that was annoying me a little bit. But Other than that, I really did enjoy running GNOME. But there's just no perfect one, man. There just ain't. Chris, and Rob made a video yesterday about XFCE, and he did have a point as far as you can make it look more modern than it does. But what I said to Rob was, even though you can change certain things about XFCE, and it really is really customizable, it doesn't get it over that. There's a certain bar that I want it to be at, as far as I want it to, even though, like, even when you try to make it look like I watched a video the other day, and I'm not even going to say who it was, but I watched a video the other day, and the guy says, oh, well, this XFCE looks so modern. And they looked at it, and I guess modern is, it's kind of like up to the user itself, up to the person to think whether it's modern or not. But I mean, like, to me, what I was looking at didn't look modern. It didn't look like GNOME. It didn't look like Budgie. I mean, Budgie looks really modern. It didn't look like Solus. Solus looks awesome, and it looks modern. And XFCE, even though you can customize it, even though you can have transparency in the panels and everything else, it just doesn't have that feel of being modern. Yes, Zebedee, you're right. Modern is very subjective, okay? If you're used to Windows 3.1, XFCE looks like Star Trek, okay? It just still is not over that level, that line for me to say, man, I want to run that. That's all. So even though it's customizable, it's fast, it's stable, and all that stuff, like, you don't have near the problems that you do with XFCE that you do with, say, Cinnamon. But Cinnamon looks way better than XFCE does. Way better. That depends on you whether or not that's worth the look, like, yeah, not out of the box, Carl. Not out of the box. Yeah, but that's the other thing, OpenBox. They say that it's OpenBox is very configurable, but there again, I didn't ever see anybody get OpenBox to look like, even like with OB Revenge. And it has nothing to do with OB Revenge, because OB Revenge is a good distro in and of itself without OpenBox. But as far as the looks or aesthetics are concerned, even that with OpenBox just did not look the way I would want it to look. I mean, I just couldn't get it to look the way I wanted it to look. So David's on a Kill GTK thing right now. He was actually talking about it last week, weren't you, David? Actually, OB Revenge has a new release out, a new ISO. You see this? You see this tab? Okay. Do you see this tab right here that I got clicked? This is exactly the height of my tabs on my second monitor. This is what I'm looking at when I'm over there. So that's why I said I have no idea. And I can't maximize it. I can't do it. And it has something to do with this specific layout with Cinnamon. If I change to another layout, it'll be there. It just... I didn't try Arch Labs. I seen a lot of videos on it. I seen people talk about it, but I have not checked it out. No, I should probably check it out. Although, I don't know. Like, I just, again, I'm not. Isn't Arch Labs? Isn't that on OpenBox? Yeah, OpenBox. I'm just not a big open box fan. No, I haven't, Ski. And I probably should. I probably should download it and look at it because I haven't tried it. I have never downloaded it, never installed it. I just know that I steer usually away from distros that have OpenBox because I just don't care for it. Nothing against it. I just don't care for it. Stock Gnome is like 10th on my favorite DE list. Is it that high, Carl? I didn't think it was that high. It's not. I don't think it's 10th on my favorite DE list. And did you guys see the survey? Where is the survey? You guys should do this. Is go over to OMG Ubuntu, and there is a survey that they're talking about. Remember how we had talked about last week with GNOME and how maybe, or I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but we talked about what Ubuntu would do with GNOME, and would they run it stock, or would they add extensions to make it more customizable and a better desktop? Because as we talked about here, stock GNOME is pretty bad. So anyway, there was talk about them just running it just the way GNOME had it stock, but then now they are there's a survey over at OMG Ubuntu that actually Canonical is going to look at, and you rate the extensions they have. Now they don't have them all, and you can't look at all of them, but you can rate the ones they have in here, like dash to dock, not useful or very useful, impatience, no top left top corner, alternate tab, applications menu, better volume indicator. I wish the audio sound output chooser was in there instead of the better volume indicator, because that's the one I use. Top icons plus, and Windows controls. And you can basically submit your opinion on what they should use and what they should do. And, I'm not saying that, they're going to go exactly by that, but it's definitely something unusual that they are asking for the community's input on what's going to happen with the stock GNOME. So I would suggest you guys go over and do that. Love the research. Yeah. So, yeah. So there you go. There you have it. So they need your help. What else is going on over at OMG Ubuntu here? Ooh, Warhammer coming to 40,000. Oh, that's I guess that's a mod of Warhammer? Is that a sequel or what? Yep. Coming to Linux next month. How to add folders to the Plank dock. That's something that would interest me. Look at that. Huh. Now that's something that I did not know. I wonder if that's in a new version of Plank or something. Maybe I should read it. Yes, the answer is yes, but I didn't know. Wow, is it that simple? You just drag and drop it? Really? Wow. I don't know how long I've been live, dude. Well, I think I started it at 9:40, 9:45. But there have been like 2 or 3 streams because I have crashed, and every time I have done it, I've crashed, and the stream got a new link, and I don't even know. Usually YouTube records, I don't even know if they're up. Like if the other ones that I recorded earlier are going to even be there. Mark Shuttleworth getting a Rocco hairdo, huh? That would be the disaster for him. That would just be a disaster. No, that's awesome to be able to add folders to Plank. And I wonder wonder if you can do that to Docky. No, I guess you can't. See, I do use Plank. Even in GNOME, I use Plank. Huh. I would swear that's a new feature if I didn't know any better. If I didn't know, I mean, obviously he's not going to say it is if it wasn't, but if I didn't know any better, I would say that's a new feature in Plank because I never knew that was there. That's awesome. All right, what else do you guys want to discuss? Because this was about FerenOS. I think next stream, maybe I won't do a desktop. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a desktop environment, but maybe we'll just do a Linux news chat. And then it doesn't have to be about anything in particular, and then we can just talk. What do you guys feel about doing something like a Google Hangout or a peer-in where anybody can join and we can have a conversation? What do you think? And then maybe we can, still stream it live for those that don't want to join in, but anybody that wants to join in, we could talk. Oh, it does? Yeah, well, they probably are all going to be there at some point. They're probably going to... It'll end abruptly because, I'm doing stuff with Cinema and I'm changing the look layouts and everything else, and all of a sudden it just freezes and crashes. So if you're watching any of those earlier ones, it'll just end abruptly, but oh well. Well, I don't know if it's that it's too many themes. I think there is a lot going on. I will say that. There's a lot going on with FerenOS. And he put a lot of work into it, but there's a lot going on. So like I said, it probably would be best. And that's what I said earlier in one of the other streams that I started. But it would probably be best if once you switch that you log out and log back in or restart your computer, because I've had anomalies where I switched from one layout to another and it's supposed to be this menu, but when I hit the super key it's the slingshot menu. So like I don't know. So but once I restarted, all that was gone and I was on the menu and the layout I wanted. So I think part of the reason that I had so many issues was I was just switching, and it was too much for Cinnamon. But if you just switch and log out and log back in, you should have no problems. Well, I'm not talking about Pedro. I'm not talking about tonight. I'm talking about the next stream we do. Maybe I can set something up where, I mean, unless you guys are up for doing it now, I don't know. Like, it doesn't even have to be recorded on YouTube. It can just be actually. Now that I could probably just give you guys a Zoom link. You guys would have to install that, and not everybody would be able to do that. We could do an appear in right now if you wanted to, and just anybody that wants to the link and join in. You tell me. Well, Joe, we've covered everything in FerenOS a couple times, and as LazeX has been finding out that there's a few streams on the channel now, because every time I did a switch on the desktop, instead of, you really should restart, but every time I did a switch, because I was just switching and not restarting, it was crashing. And so then it would bring up everything would crash. So I'd have to restart YouTube, restart the live stream, blah, blah, blah. Sitting in a car. Yeah. That was funny. That was actually, so that was the first video that I did like that, where normally I normally have myself, like when I did videos before, they were always at me with the camera at the bottom. But the reason that I put myself in the car was because when I was doing a take for it, it was, I was opening the system tray in the bottom right hand corner, and you couldn't see the system tray because my camera, I was sitting in front of the system tray. So I had to put myself somewhere where I wasn't, where I wouldn't mess anything up. So here, I'll show you. Like, this is OBS, and I'm sorry for the multiple screens here, and I guess I should stay in the middle of the window. But anyway, when I uncheck this image, I'm just sitting here in the air here. Okay, so when I was checking that KDE video out, I was blocking, my camera was actually down here, and I was blocking the system tray. You couldn't see it. So I had to put myself somewhere where I wasn't going to block it. And I didn't think, to me, this doesn't look real good. Just me sitting in the air somewhere, that just doesn't look cool. So that's why I just decided, well, you know what? There's a car here, and I'm just gonna, and I'm like, I actually had the car as a background. I was like, well, okay, well, maybe I can sit myself in the car. Well, then I had to it was comical the way I had to actually do the video, because I had to put a piece of cardboard under my camera so that my camera tilted like this, because it had to be tilted a certain way, or no, it was like this. Yeah, it had to be tilted a certain direction to go along with the window of the car. So my camera had to be tilted with a piece of cardboard on top. And then I had to shrink it down. And then I had to actually use GIMP and cut out the mirror of the car and make a cutout of that in GIMP and place that also on top of the image so that the mirror was in front of me, because I was sitting in front of the mirror. So it was complicated the way I did, but it ended up turning out right. And so that's where it all started. You should make me a window car. No, I'm just kidding. You've been doing so much, dude. But yeah, a window would be awesome. But so that's where the whole thing started. And then when I didn't have a car to put it in, I figured, hey, it would be cool. Like, then Ubuntu Mate was the first one I did with a logo. And I figured, yeah, it would be cool to have, instead of sitting in the car, I did the logo. So what I did was I took the logo, and just like this, I cut out a center in GIMP, transparent center, and that's where I put myself, so that it looks kind of better than just me sitting in the air. All the Goombas in Long Island, Brooklyn, where we need to be, brother. My Uncle Aldo is from Brooklyn, so yeah. All right, so that one of these days I'm going to do a video, because I've had a couple different people ask me on the OBS setup and how I get the transparency and the green screen and all that stuff. But the green screen is really just a blanket, but it works. How big is your video window? Well, I don't know, Carl. I don't know. I usually have to resize whatever I do in here. Like for this one, I resized the camera to a different resolution, so it would be a smaller window. But normally I have the camera on 1280 by 920, I think, and then I just shrink it down to whatever I need. So I don't know if to be honest with you, I don't know what size it should be. But like I said, you could probably make it a bigger size, like say a 500 by 500 or something like that, and I could just then take this, and that's why I said I had to mess with this here, where I took the FerenOS. I think this is a 1024 by 1024 icon that I resized to put wherever I need it to be. And you see the little corner sticking out there where I got to fix, and so it's not a perfect system. And I wish I knew what size the best size would be for it, but I just don't. So, and like I said, a lot of times, like here, I didn't want to be I was actually going to have the FerenOS label or logo at the bottom and have me in it like this. But the problem is when we were switching layouts, we were switching layouts, the panel goes to the bottom, and I don't want to hide that stuff. So that's why I needed to. And I don't know, maybe that did hide some of the. Maybe this bird did hide some of the panel. I'm not sure, but so I had to raise the camera up a little bit. All right, so the only problem with doing an appear in, I can't give you guys a link on YouTube because I need to shut down OBS in order for appear in to pick up on the camera. And if appear in doesn't pick up on if I have OBS running first, appear in will not pick up the camera, and I will have to rejoin the. Well, we could just do. It could just. Let me see if I can work this out here. Hold on. Maybe we can. Maybe if you guys are up for it, we can do one now. If I can get the link right. If I can get this machine to act right. You see how this is, what this is doing to me here? Okay, so let's see. Okay. All right, so look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to, I guess we could do a Google Hangouts, huh? Which do you guys want to do? A Google Hangouts or Appear In? Appear In, all you need is a link and a web browser. Hangouts, you need Hangouts. But it doesn't even have to be recorded. Anybody can join in, so. All you need is this link here. And then anybody can join. I have it unlocked. So if you want to join in that, or if, like I said, if you guys prefer Hangouts, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But like I said, it doesn't need to be recorded. It can just be I can just record it through OBS and upload it to YouTube. So it doesn't have to be streamed through YouTube. Although there probably would be a lot more people joining. Yo, what's happening? Hold on. I gotta put, dude, I gotta put my headphones in. So, and I'm not gonna wear these big, stupid looking headphones while we're here. Stand by. Don't go nowhere. I can't hear you right now. Oh, I can see you. Nah, it's all good. Does it have my... are you guys hearing me right? Yeah, I can hear you guys. You just... Yo.